right. Well, welcome to One More Thing. I'm Pastor Brett Watson. I'm here with Dr. Troy Doucet. We're talking about the fourth installment of this series, Connections. And I said this to you earlier, but I know I've said this at least 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is now my new favorite sermon that you've preached.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
It was really good. Maybe it was my involvement, and I don't know.
Yeah. I love it.
So you, it just so happened that O'Hara and I were trying to formulate or come up with some way to quantify and define love.
Right.
And you were preaching this.
That's right.
So a lot of good discussion around all this, but I like where you landed with the 3 defining characteristics, I guess you could say, of love: that sacrifice, service, and surrender. I also enjoyed the reference to other religious traditions.
Yeah, that point to God.
So I'll do a shameless plug right now.
Yeah, do it.
But, I'm getting ready to teach a class in a couple weeks on world religions. So if you're interested.
You are the master of that, man.
Yeah, I'll go on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought this was fantastic. Is there, in fact, it's so good all the way through that I'm not really exactly sure what to highlight here. Was there something in here that you left out of the sermon for time reasons?
Yeah, I think that's the purpose of One More Thing.
Exactly.
Is like the idea. It's hard to say because you only have a certain amount of time to try to convey.
Yeah.
And this could have been 3 different weeks on, sacrifice, service, surrender. We could have drawn those out. But I wish there was a bit more time to spend sort of like elucidating the way in which our human identity is connected to God's divinity. And all of those things that we as, C.S. Lewis writes about this really, really profoundly in the sense that every culture that we have studied through anthropology, through sociology, whatever, like there are certain elements that are consistent throughout cultures that we as humans, we sort of, I don't want to say worship, but like we elevate. Mm-hmm. And it's always those ideas of sacrifice, service, and a type of surrender, maybe not to a divinity or what have you, like I was trying to frame here. But service and sacrifice are always those things we epitomize in culture, like the warrior in some combat who throws himself on top of a grenade to save his battalion, right? Like we don't say, what an idiot. No, we don't do. No culture does that because we revere that type of going against sort of our evolutionary biological instinct to self-preserve for the greater good. Jesus says this. There's no greater love than this, than a man would lay down his life for his friends. And I go, that's something I wish we could have made a deeper connection to, is staying hard, just maybe doing 1 week of each so we can really flesh out.
Definitely do that, yeah.
Flesh out that element of sacrifice. So I think that the sacrificial piece was one that, I wish we could have spent a lot more time on, because I don't think we get it. We get it and we don't. Like, we know it when we see it, but boy, it's hard to implement and practice in our own life, that sacrificial element of giving until it hurts and then finding a way to continue to give beyond that pain, that threshold of pain. And it's not, and I said it yesterday, it's not always an economic or financial sacrifice, but we're so inundated with those types of things, financially free or whatever.
Yeah. It's kind of culturally situated for us.
But I mean, it's that sacrifice of, I'm going to give of my time, I'm going to give of my energy, I'm going to give of my wisdom, I'm going to give of my finances, I'm going to give what I'm able to. Because here's what I say all the time, it's my philosophy, it's you cannot give away what you do not have. And so that's sort of where it's at.
Yeah. Now, sacrifice deserves the attention that you gave it out of the 3, but you're right. All 3 could be 3 weeks worth of teaching. and that's what we try to do when we gather afterwards. You know, that group that I teach afterwards is unpack more of it, because it really is a deep subject. You can see, interestingly, you can see a connection to sacrifice and our survival.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some evolutionary workings there.
Yeah.
But it's hard to see that when, you know, a strong, virile fireman rushes into a burning nursing home and saves a 99-year-old woman that's, you know, in her last days, risking his own life.
That's right. That's
you
right.
know, it just doesn't add up
Yeah.
from an evolutionary standpoint, and so makes you wonder where that sense of sacrifice has its origins.
That's right.
And you know, you and I have no problem saying that. Well, we think the origins are divine.
Yeah.
You know, and what's so cool about the story of, you know, the Christian story, and really kind of what makes it unique among religious traditions, is you see God sacrificing himself. You know, so that he's no longer just the all-powerful, all-knowing, you know, and even all-benevolent, but he, as Richard Rohr puts it, he becomes the all-vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
That is beautiful, and it's often misunderstood, because I think much of the conservative mind and the evangelical mind wants to hold immovable these attributes of God, of the Bible, of all these things. And when I think, no, in order for me to relate, we talk about this in superhero mythology, in order for us to fully relate and to connect, because that's what God longs for the most, is that connection, right? Because, you know, we have these plugs all over the room. These plugs can be plugged in and connected, but not turned on, right? Mm-hmm. You know, so, you know, like our TV's not working today. And if it come to find out, Caleb's like, yeah, it's plugged into this, what do you call it? The wall. The outlet. But there's no power source, right, to the outlet. The TV's not on, whatever. You can be plugged in, but not turned on.
Yep.
Like that's the dilemma, is God is already connected to us in the most intimate way of our being, in our breath, our life, our nefesh, the way the ancients tried to understand just existence itself and how it's connected to divinity. But unless you awaken to that, man, and live into that, and that's going to be this week, is how do I live into that connection to my resurrection, which is, for me, it's the awakening, right? It's the bringing back to that which was supposed to be all along. Like, how do I connect to that? And what does that do in my life? How does that transformation occur? And these are not just mystical or mysterious questions. These are questions that have answers to. Mm-hmm. When you begin to do this, this begins to happen. Like, think about it, man. This is just the way the world works. When I begin to, what does it say? A smoker, when I begin to stop smoking, 2 hours after that, the flagella that has become sort of immobilized in my lungs, paralyzed because of the nicotine, they begin to start moving. And that's when it starts pushing up all of this, you know, tar or whatever, and you begin to cough. Like, we know when I go to the gym, if I begin to lift heavy weights and cut calories, my body is going to change. But the same has to be true with the spiritual realm, right? With the awakening to the transformation. If I begin to reflect and contemplate, where is God? And become highly aware that there is no place I can go that God is not. That's the truth. Then, man, my life takes on this new significance, this new meaning, this new purpose. Like, God is always already with me. It doesn't mean he's always already with me to watch me, to oversee me, but he's walking with me, in me, through me, and with me, in me, and through the things of both joy and pain in my life. And dude, that's a fact of transformation. That it doesn't mean life is always going to be good or grand, but it does mean, like, when the stuff doesn't pan out the way I was expecting it to or hoping it to, I keep moving. And then when I get in community with other people who are awakened to this truth of who God is in their life, dude, then we become this powerful force of good and beauty in the world, man. And that's how it works.
Yeah, I totally
Anyway.
agree. As above, so below.
Yeah.
So it's reasonable to infer that, yeah, this is something that happens spiritually, just the way we see it happening physically, that an action leads to change. And while the mysteries are out there for sure, we need to be clear to people that it is not a mystery as to how to encounter mystery.
Yeah.
It's just a practice.
That's it.
And you mentioned contemplation. That's one of them.
Yep.
Fasting. The disciplines, the classical disciplines of the church are there, ready to be exploited.
That's right.
And it's just got to do it.
That's it.
Just got to do it.
It makes me think of what that young guy from the Sativa School told me, right, that I shared in staff. Like he said, the beauty of art in all of its forms, whether we're talking art as like music for him is what he was using, does not situate itself in the rational or the logical or the propositional, but in the mystery, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the emotional at times. And I thought that, like, it blew my mind when he said that, because he's quoting Albert Camus. And when you think about, like, what we do here, like, it's never supposed to be based in this element of certainty, but mystery.
Yeah.
And it's the encounter of the mysterious that we find excitement, bro. We find passion.
Life isn't there's no way for life to reach its potential without mystery.
Yeah.
It sounds weird to
Yeah.
say that, but it's the mysteries of life that make it so freaking interesting, right?
That's it. But mystery to me equates journey, right?
Yeah.
It never, for me, reason dictates destination.
Yes.
Whereas,
And it's an important piece. but-
for sure. But here's the thing, man. If I don't know where I am to begin, I have no freaking clue where I'm going. Even if I know where to go or where I'm supposed to go, if I don't know where I'm starting from, I have no idea. Like, so it's always, that's where reflection and contemplation come in. It's not about this, woo. It's about, where am I? Oh, I'm here. I'm supposed to be there. Now I know how to get there. Now I know which direction. Because in surfing, when I used to surf all the time, we call it Big Wednesday. Like every so often in the winter, this big, huge swell would come off the Pacific. And dude, they would work you. If you wiped out, dude, you're getting rolled. And the water was deeper. It wasn't just, chest high. It was upwards of 8-10 feet deep. Mm-hmm. And when you're getting worked, your tendency is to try to swim to the surface. But everyone say, don't move. Let the buoyancy of your wetsuit bring you to the surface. Because you can be trying to swim and you're swimming down instead of up. And so you're doing more damage because where's the freaking surface? And you just keep swimming down and down because you can't see underneath that water.
Yeah.
Whereas the beauty of contemplation and reflection allows me to just rest. Let the buoyancy, let the Spirit of God lift me to where I can see above the trees and I go, this is where I'm at.
Great analogy.
That's where I need to go.
It's a great analogy.
So there you go.
Yeah. Just do it.
That's it.
You just got to practice.
That's it. It takes practice.
It does.
Because your tendency, again, to use this, the instinct is,
Exactly.
I can't breathe. I got to find the surface. And you're swimming further and deeper into the depths of that which is your despair, as opposed to resting
and allowing
thinking,
yourself
and
to
allowing
emerge.
myself to, because the buoyancy of that is going to bring you up.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, another great one, man.
Appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you.